Two men wanted to marry Adaeze, Chief Nnanna, who was rich but blind, and Obinna, a poor farmer with hard-working hands. The village was divided, and a contest began to see who could win her love. But this was no ordinary contest. It would show what kind of hearts these men had. Once upon a time in Umuaka, a village that sat between two hills like a calabash between knees, there lived a girl called Adaeze. She was not the loudest in the market. She was not the proudest at the stream, but she had a way of moving through life like morning breeze, gentle, clean, and impossible to hold. Her laughter could calm a crying child. Her voice could make palm wine taste sweeter. And because Umuaka was a village where beauty was not only face but spirit, people began to say, that Adaeze, her destiny is not ordinary. Adaeze lived with her widowed mother, Mama Ujunwa, in a small compound roofed with old zinc that sang loudly whenever rain came. They farmed a little, sold a little, and prayed a lot. Now it happened that one Harmattan season, when dust was thick and people wrapped themselves like roasted corn, two men began to circle Adaeze's life. One was Chief Nnanna of the Leopard Stool, the richest man in that part of the land. His barns were so full that rats held meetings inside. His wrappers were so fine that even the sun respected him. But Chief Nnanna was blind. Not the kind of blind where a man squints and pretends. No, the kind where his eyes looked forward but saw only darkness. People said it happened after a fever. Others said it happened after a curse. But nobody knew the whole truth. What everyone knew was this: his wealth still walked ahead of him like a praise singer. The other man was Obinna, the poor farmer. Obinna owned no horses. He had no servants. His hands were always stained with soil, and his feet were familiar with thorns. But his heart was straight. When he greeted elders, his voice carried respect. When he worked his farm, he worked like a man who understood tomorrow. Obinna had known Adaeze since childhood. They used to chase grasshoppers together behind their compounds. When they grew older, he began to look at her the way rain looks at dry ground, quietly, hopefully. One evening, as Adaeze and Mama Ujunwa pounded fufu under the orange sky, a sound entered their compound. Gabong! 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 The village gong-gonger. He stood at the entrance and announced, Mama Ujunwa, Adaeze, the chief's men are coming here. Mama Ujunwa's hands froze in midair. Adaeze's pestle paused like a question. Before they could speak, they heard it. The heavy footsteps of men who did not come to beg but to claim. Chief Nnanna's messenger arrived with gifts that could make the poorest household tremble. A goat tied with a red rope, 2 cartons of salt, a bag of rice as tall as a child, a box of wrappers for Mama Ujunwa, and a small calabash filled with cowries, shining like teeth. The messenger bowed. Our chief greets you. He says the wind has carried Adaeze's name to his ears. He says he wants her as wife. He says he will marry her properly. Mama Ujunwa swallowed. In Umuaka, it was not every day a poor widow's compound received such riches. Neighbors were already gathering outside like ants around sugar. Adaeze said nothing. Her face was calm, but her stomach turned the way river water turns when stones are thrown inside. That night, as the moon climbed up like a curious child, Mama Ujunwa sat with Adaeze. My daughter, she began softly, do you know what this means? Adaeze answered in a small voice, I know. It means your suffering can end, Mama Ujunwa said. It means our roof can be changed. It means you will not wake up to hunger again. Adaeze looked down at her hands. But Mama, he is blind. Mama Ujunwa nodded. Yes, but his blindness is not the kind that beats a woman. Chief Nnanna is known for peace. People say his heart is calm. Adaeze's voice became even smaller. And Obinna? At the mention of Obinna's name, Mama Ujunwa sighed the long sigh of a woman who has counted many debts. Obinna is a good boy, she said, but goodness does not buy medicine. Goodness does not repair a leaking roof. Goodness does not stop your children from going to bed with empty stomach. Adaeze did not argue, but her heart argued inside her chest. Because the truth was this. Obinna had already spoken to her quietly by the stream 2 market days ago. He had said, Adaeze, I have no gold, but I have 2 hands and a heart that will never shame you. If you agree, I will go to your mother and speak. Adaeze had not said yes, but she had not said no. In Umuaka, silence could be a promise. The next morning as Adaeze walked to the stream with her clay pot, the women's whispers followed her like shadow. Chief Nnanna has chosen her. She will become big woman. Even blindness is better than poverty. Will she accept? Can a poor man compete with a chief? And as she returned from the stream, she saw Obinna waiting near the footpath, leaning against a palm tree. He smiled when he saw her, but the smile was trying too hard. "Adaeze," he said, "I heard the chief's men came." Adaeze's throat tightened. "Yes." Obinna looked away toward the farms, as if his eyes needed space. "So, what will you do?" Adaeze wanted to say, "I want you," but she remembered her mother's tired face. She remembered the way hunger turned their cooking pot into an empty drum. She remembered nights when Mama Ujunwa would pretend she had eaten so Adaeze could swallow the last piece. So she said the only safe thing, "I don't know yet." Obinna nodded slowly. "Then let me speak. Let me do it properly." He took a breath. "If a rich man comes with gifts today, it does not mean his heart will stay rich tomorrow. But if a man comes with truth, his truth will not expire." Adaeze's eyes stung. She looked down so he would not see. Obinna continued, "Tell your mother I will come this evening with my uncles." Adaeze whispered, "Okay." And so by evening the village was fully awake. Because Obinna did not come alone. He came with his uncles and elders, and even though their clothes were plain, their faces were proud. They carried what they could afford: kola nuts, palm wine, a small goat, and a bag of yams. When they entered Mama Ujunwa's compound, they greeted properly, clapping softly, lowering their voices to show respect. Mama Ujunwa welcomed them with courtesy, but her eyes kept sliding to the chief's gifts, sitting in the corner like a loud argument. Obinna's eldest uncle cleared his throat. "We have come," he said, "to ask for Adaeze's hand in marriage for our son, Obinna." Before Mama Ujunwa could respond, another voice cut through the compound like a machete, a voice full of power, a voice used to being obeyed. "Ask her hand? With what?" People turned. There at the compound entrance stood Chief Nnanna's men again, and behind them, walking slowly with a carved staff, was Chief Nnanna himself. Two young servants guided him gently, one on each side, but the chief held himself like a man who owned the ground he stepped on. The entire compound fell into a shocked silence. Even the goat stopped chewing. Chief Nnanna tilted his head slightly, as if listening to the air. "So," he said calmly, "this is where the wind has carried me." He pointed his staff toward Obinna's side, though his eyes could not see them. "I came to do the right thing," Chief Nnanna continued, "to meet the mother, to speak, to show seriousness." Then he paused and his voice became colder. "But I hear I am not the only one who desires Adaeze." Obinna stood up. His knees were steady even though his heart was racing. "Yes," Obinna said, "I also desire her, and I have come with my people to ask properly." A small murmur spread among the neighbors outside. Some were excited, some were afraid. In Umuaka, when two men contested one woman, trouble always carried a basket. Chief Nnanna's lips curved into a small smile that did not reach joy. "Good," he said. "Let us not pretend. Let us speak openly." He tapped his staff once on the ground. "Woman," he addressed Mama Ujunwa, "you are a widow. Life has not been easy. If you give me your daughter, she will never taste poverty again." Then he turned his face toward where Obinna's voice came from. "And you," he said gently, almost politely, "you are a farmer. Your hands may be strong, but your pockets are empty." Obinna clenched his jaw. "My pockets may be empty, Chief, but my character is full." A few elders murmured approval. Chief Nnanna chuckled. "Character is good, but hunger does not respect character." The compound tightened with tension, as if the air itself was holding its breath. Then Chief Nnanna said, "Let the girl speak. Let us hear from Adaeze." All eyes turned to her. Adaeze stood slowly. She felt like a pot on fire, pressured from all sides. She looked at her mother. She looked at Obinna. She looked at the chief's dark eyes that saw nothing and yet felt like they were staring into her future. And she said, "I respect you both." That was all. But in Umuaka, that kind of answer was like throwing a small stone into a deep river. The ripples would not stop. Chief Nnanna lifted his hand. Then we will settle this in a way the village will respect. Obinna's uncle frowned. How? Chief Nnanna said, tomorrow at the village square, under the Iroko tree. Let the elders gather. Let the people witness. We will decide this marriage properly. His voice turned firm. A marriage that makes two men fight will also make a home fight. So we will know today who is worthy to carry her destiny. And with that, Chief Nnanna turned and walked away, the servants guiding him. Obinna's people remained seated, but their faces showed worry, because everybody knew one thing. When a rich chief sets a contest, it is usually a contest he expects to win. That night, the village could not sleep. The women boiled theories like soup. The men argued in clusters. Some said Adaeze should go with wealth. Some said Adaeze should go with love. Some said a blind man may see more than people think. Some said a poor man may love, but love does not pay bride price. And while Umuaka talked, Adaeze sat alone behind her mother's hut, listening to crickets, feeling the weight of tomorrow pressing on her chest. Then from the darkness, an old voice spoke. Adaeze, she startled. An old woman stepped into the moonlight. Her back was bent like a question mark, and her eyes were sharp like a needle. It was Nnanna, the village storyteller, the one people feared because her words often became true. Nnanna sat on a low stool without being invited, because elders like her did not wait for permission. My child, she said, two men want you, and the village wants drama. But your life is not a drum for people to beat. Adaeze's voice shook. What should I do? Nnanna smiled, revealing teeth stained with cola. Tomorrow they will test strength and wealth, she said, but the true test is something else. Adaeze leaned forward. Nnanna whispered, listen carefully. A blind man has no eyes, so he must use his heart to see. A poor man has no money, so he must use his hands to prove. She tapped Adaeze's forehead gently. But you must use your wisdom, because sometimes the man who claims to love you is not loving you. He is loving what you will do for his name. Adaeze's breath caught. Nnanna stood. Tomorrow, do not let them choose you like goat. Make sure the test reveals their true spirit. And before Adaeze could ask more, the old woman disappeared into the night like smoke. Morning came fast. The village square filled up. Elders sat on benches. Young boys climbed trees. Women stood with babies strapped to their backs. The Iroko tree watched everything like it had seen it all before. Chief Nnanna arrived with drummers and men carrying gifts, so many gifts that even the ground looked impressed. Obinna arrived with his people quietly. No drummers, just steady steps and honest faces. Then the village head raised his staff and said, today we will settle this matter. He turned to Adaeze. Girl, you will stand here. These men will prove what they offer you. And as Adaeze stepped forward, her heart pounded, because she knew the next thing that happened would decide the shape of her entire life. And that is where the first test began. The village head lifted his staff and spoke again. Let each man show not what he owns, but how he loves. A murmur passed through the crowd. The elders decided on 3 tests, not of strength alone, not of wealth alone, but of heart, responsibility, and wisdom.